Call to order the Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, December 17th, 2015. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Harker, please call the roll.
Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Commissioner Haas?
Here.
Commissioner Knobloch?
Here.
Commissioner Smolke?
Here.
Commissioner Stevenson?
Here.
And Chair Schwartz.
Here. All right, we need to begin with adopting our agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Stevenson,
Second.
second by Stevens. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we need to approve the minutes from our November 19th meeting.
Chair Schwartz,
Commissioner Haas.
motion to adopt the minutes as stated. Second.
Motion by Haas, second by Stevens. Any corrections or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First order of business this evening is planning case 15-34, conditional use permit and site plan for vehicle maintenance facility at 11301 Dogwood Street, Anderson Johnson Associates. The petitioner has requested that this be continued to our January 21st meeting. So we will be doing that, but we will be opening a public hearing. If anyone's here and would wish to talk on this case, we'll open a public hearing. Anyone wishing to talk on this case? Seeing none, we'll continue the public hearing to our January 21st meeting. Is there a motion to continue to January 21st?
Chair Schwartz,
Commissioner
in
Smolke.
planning case 15-34, I'll make a motion to continue to January 21st, 2016 planning commission meeting.
Second.
Motion by Schmolke, second by Stevenson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our second order of business is planning case 15-35, a preliminary plat, 11301 Dogwood Street, Anderson Johnson Associates. Again, the petitioner is requesting that this be continued to the January 21st meeting. We'll also open a public hearing on this case. Anyone here wishing to talk on this case? Seeing none, we'll continue that hearing also to the January 21st meeting. Need a motion to continue it.
Chair Schwartz,
Commissioner Schmolke.
I'll make the motion on planning case 15-35 to continue to January 21st planning commission meeting.
Second.
Motion by Schmolke, second by Stevenson. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our third order of business this evening is planning case 15-36, an ordinance amendment to allow brew pubs and tap rooms and establish associated definitions. Mr. Harlicker.
Yes, Commissioners, Planning Commission is being asked to make a recommendation on a zoning text amendment. That text amendment regarding brew pubs, tap rooms, breweries, distilleries, and cocktail rooms. And cocktail rooms are kind of the distillery equivalent of a tap room. And recently, a microbrewery has expressed interest in opening up a facility here in the city. And at this point, we don't have language in the zoning code that addresses that. A brewery would be allowed in the industrial district as a manufacturing facility, and a brew pub would be allowed in the port district under the classification of restaurant and limited production and processing. So we could cover a couple of these uses that way. But we thought we'd be better suited if we just came out and specifically addressed these types of uses. Initially, we were looking at just breweries, brew pubs, and tap rooms, but in doing the research, we decided to expand it out to include distilleries, micro distilleries, and cocktail rooms. The proposed text amendment does two things. One, it establishes definitions of the uses, and it also sets up where these uses would be allowed. And looking at where the uses would be permitted, staff compared it to where restaurants are allowed. Restaurants are allowed in the commercial districts and in the port. So what the staff is proposing is to allow the brew pubs, microbrewery and tap room, and micro distillery and cocktail rooms the same way that we allow restaurants currently, which is as a permitted use in the regional shopping, general commercial, and community commercial. And a brew pub would be allowed as a conditional use in the neighborhood commercial district. And a microbrewery and micro distillery would not be a permitted use. Breweries and distilleries on their own would only be allowed in the industrial district. We looked at parking, and we determined that parking for brew pubs would be calculated using the same ratio as restaurants, which is 1 space per 2 seats, plus 1 space for every 40 square feet of banquet or meeting area. Parking for tap rooms would be calculated using the same ratio as bars and taverns, which is 1 space for every 100 square feet of floor area. And for the brewery component, it would use the light industrial standard, which is 1 space per 1,000 square feet. Looked at outdoor storage, and currently outdoor storage is not an allowed use in the commercial or port districts, so there would not be any outdoor storage allowed. Outdoor storage is allowed as an accessory use in the industrial district, provided it meets certain screening and locational requirements. The city attorney's office and the city clerk's office is also looking at amending the city liquor licensing requirements that would be used for the uses commission is looking at tonight. That will be amending Title V, and that would go just to the city council. In developing the definitions, we took a lot of the language was taken from state statutes. For instance, brew pub is, the definition is directly taken from state statute. The definition for a microbrewery, which is a facility that has the capacity to manufacture less than 15,000 barrels of malt liquor. That is commonly used in other cities, and it's used by the American Brewers Association. A brewery would be a person or a facility that manufactures more than 15,000 barrels a year, and a barrel is 31 gallons. The tap room, this language is also taken from a state statute. It's an area on the premises owned by the brewer that allows on-sale malt liquor produced for the brewer by consumption. And it is accessory to the primary use of a brewery or microbrewery. A distillery is a person that manufactures more than 40,000 gallons of distilled spirits. And then a micro distillery is a operation that does not exceed 40,000 gallons in a calendar year. And then the cocktail room is defined as an area on the premises that allows on-sale distilled liquor produced for the distiller on consumption. It's essentially the same definition as a tap room. With that, I'll answer any questions, and we do have representatives from the local groups that's interested in opening up microbrewery and tap room in the city. They met with city staff earlier this fall, and that's what really initiated the amendment that you're considering tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Harlicker. Commission, any questions for Mr. Harlicker? All right, at this time, we will open a public hearing on this matter. If anyone here would wish to speak on this matter, please step up to the mic, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Anyone wish to speak? Anyone wish to speak?
If you're up to anything to add to my presentation?
No, Scott, you did great. You did great, Scott.
All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Commission, what are your wishes?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Haas?
So I did a little bit of research about this before the meeting, and I can see that Minnesota is starting to be known for its craft breweries, and I think this is a real positive development for the city of Coon Rapids. I think it's an interesting option for residents and will draw people into our city, and I'm in favor of it.
Chair Schwartz?
Commissioner Schmolke?
So there are a couple things that I'd like to just clarify under the proposed definitions, if we could. Mainly under the brewery and brew pub definitions. I just want to be clear, so that make sure there's no typos here too. So we define a brewery as a person who manufactures, but a brewery is really a building or an establishment. And kind of goes along then too with when you define a microbrewery, it also equates it to a facility. So is that what we're talking about here? It's not really a person, correct?
Commissioner Smolke, a person, that was the language that was used in state statute.
Right.
And since microbrewery was not,
So what I was proposing is that instead of saying is a person who manufactures, I was wondering if we could rephrase it to say a building or establishment that manufactures more than 15,000 barrels, changing it to that. Because then too, under brew pub, we have is a brewer. Well, we don't define brewer anywhere either. And a brewer, it seems like we're talking about, again, kind of a place where a place of business, right? So wondering if we could change that, if we could add a definition for brewer, or if we want to change the brew pub to be, brew pub is a brewer that holds one or more retail on-sale licenses and manufactures fewer than 35 barrels, et cetera. So just a couple suggested.
yeah, I think,
definitions there.
Commissioner Smolke, we can come up with consistent language for each of those, so everything, whether it's, we'll work with the legal department and see if we should use a person or a facility
Okay.
or establishment, whichever is most appropriate.
I think if we're going to use the term brewer along with these others, we should also define brewer
Okay.
then, to be clear.
Mr. Chair and
Mr.
Commissioner
Johnson.
Smolke, I think probably what's happening is that some of these definitions are they're geared more for the licensing aspect, which is a person or an
Okay.
entity. But I agree, in terms of planning and in terms of Title 11 and zoning, we should be talking more about structures and things on property. And it may be a good idea to define brewer, which would be pretty simple here, is just cutting out some language and then making it an establishment for the actual physical thing.
Okay, thank you.
Commission, what are your thoughts?
Chair Schwartz.
Commissioner Haas?
In planning case 15-36, I recommend that the planning commission recommend approval of the proposed zoning text amendment establishing regulations where brew pubs, breweries, tap room, distilleries, and cocktail rooms can and establishing definitions of common terms with a little bit of work by the legal department to make them a little more consistent.
Second.
Motion by Hash, second by Stevens. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This will be introduced by the city council at their January 19th, 2016 meeting. Congratulations on your first step to moving forward. Any other business to come before the commission here this evening? Mr. Harlicker?
Well, next month, we will have hopefully have a townhouse development proposal for 1005 Coon Rapids Boulevard Extension. We're working on revising the definitions for exterior building materials, as well as an ordinance amendment to allow marine repair business in the Port District. And the school maintenance facility will also be on January's agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Stevenson?
Mr. Harlicker, didn't we continue the the storage facility also to January?
Yes, they have asked to be continued. They will be heard by the commission in February. They're still working on their plans.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Stevens,
Second.
second by Schmolke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, meeting's adjourned.
Music.